These niggas out here snitching, they with the rat pack. Hit them with the chopper, that's the rat trap. Find them in that trash bag off the interstate. House full of gangsta niggas never renovate. You snitching.
I got this. I got this. I got this.
Some years in Brawlhalla stand out, whether it be because of a broken legend, a weapon that dominated pro play, or a patch that completely changed how the game was played. Then there was 2025. 2025 was different, and that's exactly why it's worth looking back at. Normally this would just be another legend breakdown video, but this just felt like the right time to step back and look at everything Brawlhalla has dropped across the year and what it added up to. Now, as you know, I plan to do individual legend videos this year, but plans change, and since you've liked the ones that I've posted and we're near to 2k subs, I'ma do it properly like this. We'll start with the new weapon, then do the free legend that came out as well in reverse release order. Because when you put all these releases side by side, a pattern shows up. Not immediately, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that pattern starts with Chakram. Chakram was the first and main new thing introduced in 2025, and on paper it's one of the more ambitious designs Brawlhalla has ever attempted. Instead of a single fixed identity, it doubles down on the mode swap mode system introduced with 7, and it turns it into an entire weapon. 2 movesets, 2 playstyles, 1 weapon. And technically, when you factor in the fact that you have a secondary weapon as well, you're juggling 3 weapons. 4 if you count unarmed. Sounds insane, sounds powerful, but life is never really that good, trust. At its core, Chakram has 2 states, fuse mode and split mode. In fuse mode, the Chakram is combined into one singular blade. This is the heavy version of the weapon. Attacks are slower, more deliberate, and generally harder hitting. Think of it like an axe lead. Same philosophy, less damage, and way less forgiveness. Miss once and you immediately remember you are not axe. Split mode completely flips the script. The Chakram separates into 2 blades, 1 in each hand. You gain faster attacks, easier pressure, longer strings, so basically you're trading power for speed and flexibility. So basically katars. It looks like katars, it plays like katars, it does katars damage, it damn near is katars. But with just enough extra startup to remind you that you are in fact not allowed to have nice things in life. And this is where the mess starts. BMG gave Chakram a Katar level design without the Katar level frame data. Priya's split sidelight is about 11 frame startup, whilst Asuri on Katar's sidelight is about 8. That 3 frame gap is the difference between winning a scramble and eating the punish, you know? Chakram is built to play in your face, but it loses the face-to-face frame check every single time. Also, Chakram doesn't ask you to just learn 2 movesets. It asks you to constantly decide which version of the weapon you should be using. You can't use both at the same time, literally. And if you stay fused too long, you feel slow and you feel punishable. And if you lean to split mode too much, you get negative priority and you struggle to kill stuff. Despite being marketed as a flexible weapon, you are still behind the weapons which you are borrowing ideas from. Chakram does not have access priority to win trades directly, and it doesn't have Katar speed to attack first. So in neutral, you're often playing like, please don't press any buttons till I'm done, but unfortunately your opponent is playing Brawlhalla. We press a lot of buttons in that game, just not the attack ones. So naturally, super polarizing matchups are made. Some games on Chakram feel oppressive, you feel untouchable, you feel smart, you feel like you cracked the code. Next match, somebody swings at you with a horizontal high priority weapon and you're checking Twitter to see if Chakram got shadow nerfed overnight. In your bad matchups, you have no real answers except to skill issue your opponent. You do that by using tools like movement, general avoidance, and maybe some reads, and hell no to confrontation. Oh wait, so just regular Brawlhalla. Now you could argue that this is intentional. Chakram clearly does have lopsided matchups. Some feel like 95-5, others feel like 5-95. And if that's the way they designed the weapon, fine. So the weapon itself, I would say, isn't bad per se, but it's demanding. There's actually a word for what Chakram is missing here, and that word is a bailout. A bailout is anything in a character's kit that stops a bad matchup from becoming an automatic loss, you know. It doesn't make you win, it just gives you something to do when things go wrong. In other games, a bailout might be like a panic button, but in Brawlhalla it's usually like way more structural. It's your second weapon, your stats, your signatures, something that covers you in your time of need. Chakram's natural priority issue makes it unforgiving by design, so the responsibility shifts. If the weapon is unforgiving by design, the legends have to make up for it. That is their job, you know? Job, employment, 9 to 5, those kind of things. You wouldn't know about that, would you? So when your weapon has no bailout, needs to heavily rely on reads, and loses the direct priority battle like 100% of the time, the question becomes, how do you build a legend around this weapon like this? BMG gave us 3 very different answers, and this one looked like a repeat of a 5-year-old mistake. Lady Vera, Chakram and Scythe. And these are her stats. 4 speed on a Scythe legend in the year 2025. They genuinely looked at Volkov and were like, let's do it again. Now I already know somebody's typing,
But I win with 4 speed Scythe.
cool, yeah, sure Unc. Let's get you back to bed, Gramps. Visiting hours is over.
Back in my day, we didn't need 6 speed. We had heart.
Yeah, heart and arthritis. Sit down, Gramps. She ain't a learning curve, she's a learning cliff, and they forgot to install the ladder. 4 speed on Scythe is like having T-Rex arms. You will whiff hits right in front of their face because your character literally doesn't have enough natural drift to reach them. This ain't just bad stats, it's like anti-synergy. Every stat here is fighting itself. 4 speed on both of these moving heavy weapons is a tragedy, right? And an avoidable tragedy because we could have learned from Volkov. But no. 7 dexterity is wasted on Scythe when you don't have enough speed to use it. 8 defense, that doesn't save you off stage because you're like moving in grandma hours. 3 strength base on Scythe is damn near a crime. It's like bringing a water gun to a nuclear war. This stat line belongs on like cannon or something. Not Chakram, not Scythe, and definitely not both. Editor Black here. Yeah, nah, I'ma have to stop myself right there. This crash out was getting way too unemployed, so I cut it. I spent like a whole 5 business minutes absolutely air frying Lady Vera. Her stats were in the toaster, her dignity gone, and I also had like a moment of clarity mid-coat. And low-key, I kinda see the vision, not because it's good, because it's on brand. Genuinely, I see the skibidi logic BMG was vibing on. They weren't trolling, they were just NPC grind setting spreadsheets. Same math as 7, just shuffle the sliders like they were bored in the character select. Strength goes down, dex goes up, defense chunky. On paper is giving honest builds, in game is giving why am I moving through molasses with 2 weapons that want me to be Sonic. Those stats with Chakram Scythe as well is peak Delulus energy. No cannon there, no glow up mobility, just raw defense vibe. That feels like running a marathon in Croc. Consistency ain't playability for real. 7 got synergy source, Vera got BDSM punishment. Same formula, different vibe. That's the skibidi tragedy that happened. Stat honesty doesn't equal gameplay slay. Trace this flop energy back to Volkov, Queen Nai, even Imugi. So moral of the story, Vera's stats ain't lazy. They're just misplaced. If she had cannon, maybe she'd yat her way into a glow up. So yeah, I low-key see the logic, but I'm still calling it mid trash. I understand it, I'm not confused, but it's still dumb, intelligently dumb, academically stupid. This character is only playable due to one word: massively overtuned signatures. Okay, 3 words, whatever. Her signatures hit like she has 8 strength. Some actual 8 strength legends don't delete stocks as early as she does. A 3 attack character should not be killing at 120. And the fact that she can feels less like design and more like a cry for help. She doesn't have the speed, so let's just give her really strong signatures. Her entire gimmick on most of her signatures is this radial hitbox. You hit the top, you go up. You hit the bottom, you get spiked. It's cheesy, it's volatile, and it's the only reason she gets like any play, assuming you consider less than 1% getting played. A neutral signature forms this massive T above her head. The coverage is absolutely disgusting. It's 18 frame starter, which isn't too bad, but I believe a good Chakram neutral signature moves you off the ground, but this one does have like insane force to make up for it. But usually using this sig, asks you a different question. Can you get out of it before getting punished? And the answer is usually no, especially with 4 speed. Her side sig is a grower. The scary hitbox doesn't come out until like frame 37. It's more of a like counter zoning tool than a punish tool, and it's not something you can casually throw out in neutral. Her down signature is good in theory, but overbalance in practice. Slow startup, slow movement, and the only real way to land it is to catch someone sleeping. Clearly, they overbalanced it before releasing it. It's just unusable in today's meta. And in 2025, where people basically only ever play passive and barely ever attack, catching people off guard with that move is never happening, bro. Unless you're facing a bot. Plus, results don't lie. She released during the 10-year anniversary event where every character was for free, and she still fought for last place with Vector. Scythe, the most popular weapon in the game, still couldn't carry her. And that exposes the theory, right? Nobody's playing Chakram, so glue it to Scythe and let Scythe players drag it into relevance. If her signatures never get force nerfs, she might actually be cash money. She might actually be good. Plus, with how poorly she performed, she might actually be in need of a buff. So imagine giving Chakram side sig, for example, less startup. She might be insane. But right now, she's proved that BMG is still willing to repeat a 5-year-old mistake in the big 2-5. So, if Vera is the tank that cannot move, the next legend is her exact opposite. Meet the opposite. Ransom, 7 strength, 3 defense, and 8 speed. If Vera is a tank stuck in the mud, Ransom is a Ferrari with like no doors, seatbelt, or anything. There is no regard for human life at all. First of all, on the Chakram side of stuff, he absolutely delivers. His signatures are so synergistic. His side sig comes out like frame 14. For reference, that's like unreactable. If you breathe wrong, your stock vanishes. It's that kind of signature. If you try to avoid it by floating, you walk straight into his neutral signature, and if you like triple jump to dodge both, congrats, you're in the air, which just happens to be Chakram's favorite spot. It's like the sky, straight, and 45-degree angle coverage, I think. And geometry. If you're only ever playing Chakram and plan to throw the bow off stage and never look back, then Ransom is probably your guy. I think he might be the best standalone Chakram, but Chakram isn't the kind of weapon you play standalone. And as for the full legend, man, a good bow legend usually needs at least one signature, usually the neutral signature, that punishes the safe dodge versus sidelight, which is up away. Diana has it, Zariel has it, Ransom doesn't. They can just kind of move out of it. His side sig is crazy off stage, but on stage, like because of the spike, you just don't get as much reward. His down sig is fine. It just kinda exists, I guess. It's just there. His bow isn't bad, it just has nothing to it. No wow factor, it just exists. So Ransom's truth is that you get a top tier Chakram paired with a secondary weapon that doesn't really do anything, and combine that with free defense as well. Yeah, not looking too hot. He solves Chakram's priority issue by having bow at that speed as a secondary, but the bow itself is very mediocre. He's honestly the best way they could have possibly designed a bow Chakram legend. It's manageable and probably the least crippling flaw, but it is always there. As far as I'm concerned, it's just part of the Ransom experience. You look at his stats and you think it's wrong, but you can't help yourself. Slowly, I lied to myself as I sprint directly into neutral. Flip, you're fast, I whisper, as I dash dance around a missed attack. Too fast, I shout, as my dash dance blurs in neutral. Damn, you feel so good, I breathe, slipping through their swings with ease. So tight, I gasp, moving through their weapons with my 8 speed. And then, right there, I moan, as my side sig connects. Hit me, I dare the universe, taunting it with my glass cannon build. I am untouchable, I am the king of speed. But then, contact, a single stray hit, the screen shake, my health bar, that delicate thing, shatter. Ah, there it is, I gasp, pain searing through my 3 defense. It is a punishment, I deserve it. The thrill of my own fragility is exquisite. You asked for this, I think, throwing Chakram and switching weapon. I switched to bow, my other weapon, my other partner. Do something, I plead, voice tight with need, but it just lies there, lifeless, giving me nothing, no satisfaction, no release. I throw it, I always go back to you, my Chakram, my beautiful, brutal Chakram. But then, wait no, I choke as a single read sends me to the blast zone. I'm so close, I plead, stretching for the wall, desperate to recover. Too late, I'm spent, I'm dead. Harder, I moan as I overextend with Chakram. But then reality hits. You're too much, I plead, as a single recovery takes my all. Slow down, I beg, but I'm already off stage, chasing a kill I shouldn't. Again, I beg, chasing off stage. Deeper, I scream into the void, going for the spike attack. It is reckless, it is stupid. I miss. The cold embrace of the blast zone takes me. That's the spot, I cry, catching their dodge with a perfect attack. Deeper again, I demand, edge guarding recklessly, and then the cold shower afterward. I'm gonna die, I whimper, as they charge their attack on me. And I do. I always do. It's a beautiful and vicious cycle, and I keep coming back for more. Because when it's good, and when it's bad, at least it ends quickly. Anyways, this is why the Dust comparison actually fit. For years, everyone knew Dust was strong, but nobody wanted to touch him because of the low defense. Now he's like top 5 in every good tier list. And yes, I did just do that. And I did just speed past it. I think Ransom is headed down the same path. Some demon in the future is probably gonna put Ransom on the map, and then everybody's suddenly gonna agree that he's the best Chakram. Like, we've seen this kind of movie before. The real difference is that Dust has a fire spear, and Ransom bow just exists. So basically, moral of the story, TLDR, Ransom is what happens when you try to fix Chakram by pumping it with a bunch of steroids. But like, what if you didn't try to fix it at all? What if you just embraced the unforgiving nature of the weapon and made it somebody else's problem? And then lastly, there's Priya, the first. 4, 6, 5, 7. Not a glass cannon, not a stat strategy, just well-rounded, I guess. Priya doesn't try to fix Chakram at all. She just hands you the weapon as is and says good luck. Her signatures are definition easy. Her neutral signature is anti-air, her side signature covers the side, her down signature covers stat. She's got coverage. Okay, down sig does cover a bit more than stat, but you get what I mean. Her side sig, for example, is just a simple signature, and really is reflected in all of her signatures. The startup is 20 frames, it's fully reactable, but the coverage is so absurd it doesn't matter. Dodge, jump, dash, all covered. The only real answer is to wake up with attack. So it basically becomes a 20 frame knowledge check. If your opponent doesn't know the matchup, you'll cook. If they do, you'll immediately get checked. That's Priya in a nutshell. She's like psychological warfare with very easy buttons. And let's not pretend, her sword sucks. You don't pick Priya for sword, you pick Priya despite the sword. It's arguably the worst sword in the game, but we'll get to that later. Playing Priya is like playing Miner Chip in Clash Royale, where Miner is the only win condition. Early game, your opponent could easily ignore it. It's just 100 damage, it's just 200 damage. Then suddenly, when your tower's like 500 or less health, every read becomes a stress. She makes the weapon stronger when it's already strong, but when Chakram has a bad matchup, she collapses with it. No robbery tools, no emergency buttons. Like when Ransom or Vera can just steal stocks with one signature, Priya has to win neutral 5 more times. She represents Chakram in its purest form, and that's both her strength and her weakness. She doesn't solve any of the weapon's issues, she just embraces them more with reactable signatures, chip damage, and a secondary weapon that's more of a liability than a backup. If Chakram struggles, Priya struggles. There's no plan B. In good matchups she's a 10, and in bad ones she's a 0. There's no 5. I would even go as far to say that she's like Caspian. But even then, Caspian can cover some weaknesses with some of his signatures. This is the legend you pick when you want to play Chakram exactly as designed, and you accept that some games are simply unwinnable, no matter how well you play, unless your opponent is some sort of bot. And yeah, at the end of the day, Priya's still a waifu, you know what I'm saying? Stylish, high risk, high reward, and every time Sword shows up, it's just a reminder that joy is temporary in life, and that life will be cruel sometimes. So, as for Priya's sword, and listen, this crap barely exists. It's not technically unusable, but spiritually, yeah, no. Switching to Priya's sword is like your Chakram internet is cutting out, and you're forced to look for another signal. And then what you find are 3 terrible Wi-Fis. And unfortunately, you have to pick one. All of them are bad, but you still gotta take one. Her sword side sig, which somehow is her best sword sig, is like your home Wi-Fi, but with only 1 bar. And 1 bar Wi-Fi is mostly unusable unless you buy an extender. The move is a low sweep, just like sword downlight, but with 20 frames of startup, which is already rough. Then you factor in the hitbox, which is like microscopic. I'm talking, if they are 1 pixel off the ground, they're immune levels of tiny. Yeah, the move does get a bit juicier at the end, but by the time you reach that part, nearly 60 frames have passed. And at that point, your opponent either did something insanely punishable, or has the reaction time of like a houseplant, or they're genuinely a bot. It doesn't cover any reads of a sidelight, it doesn't catch jumps out of air. The force is low, it doesn't kill early, the recovery frames are absolutely not worth the risk. In fact, you are just a lot better pretending that this button doesn't exist. And yet, it's still her best sword sig. You remember me talking about that Wi-Fi extender? That is gravity cancel. You just get yourself one of those, you plug it in your room, and boom. I find that her sword side sig is particularly strong as a punish tool when gravity cancel, because now you cover the ground and the air at the same time. There's no clean escape. It's basically a slower but bigger version of GC downlight. That's it. That's the one niche use it has. Outside of that, it's not worth touching. The grounded version is a bait, and if you use it raw, you deserve the punish. Her sword neutral signature is honestly fascinating because it promises everything and delivers nothing. It looks like an anti-air, it feels like an anti-air, and then when you try to use it, you immediately regret your life choices because it sucks like anti-air. Get it? Yeah, I'm not cutting that out of the video. It has 24 frame startup, which means it's insanely reactable. They see it coming before you even finish pressing the button. The coverage is massive, it hits everything. If they're in their space, they're getting hit. No weird hitbox nonsense. It never lies to you. But unfortunately, it gives your opponent enough time to dodge, land, make a sandwich, and still punish you afterwards. This is the public park Wi-Fi. 4 bars, looks incredible, huge range, cool coverage, and completely useless unless you're in the park alone. It punishes ignorance and not players. Like if Priya was like the most popular legend in the game, it would stop working overnight. The best case use that I find for it personally is off stage, when they've burnt their recovery and their only option is to jump. Then yeah, it's pretty free because of the coverage. And occasionally it works when you're getting edge guarded and they underestimate the coverage, but that's like a player issue and not the sig being good. And now, as for sword down signature, don't use it. Like genuinely, don't use it. This sig is aeroplane Wi-Fi. Like the concept is cool, you're in the air so surely it should connect, right? Nope, scam. The login page never loads. It costs way too much stamina for what it gives you, and when it works, it feels like divine intervention. It's technically a spike, it technically hits airborne opponents, but it's slow. The first hitbox comes out late, the main hitbox is tiny, missing it gets you obliterated. Honestly, the neutral signature is a lot better off stage, and that one doesn't even spike. So why does it exist? I don't know. That being said, I must add that there is something about this signature that every time you land it, you low-key genuinely start ovulating, you know? You like low-key have to take a break afterwards because you know you are like ovulating right now. It is that satisfying to hit despite being trash. And I believe it's so bad, but honestly the reward is pretty rewarding in the right spot, but it's damn near impossible to land. But my gosh, when you land it, your ovaries just can't stay in one place. So long story short, your sword options are a weak home Wi-Fi that needs an extender, laggy public Wi-Fi that only works on clueless people, and a scam plain Wi-Fi that feels incredible once every blue moon. This is Priya's sword. Most of the time you don't use it, you just stick to the light attacks or switch to Chakram. And let's be real honest here, you only put up with it because, let's be real, Priya herself is the premium package. Priya's still gonna end up high tier anyways. Do we need a Priya Goon corner in the next video? I think we need a Priya Goon corner in the next video. Especially if we're gonna be glazing her this much. Damn. But we probably don't need a Priya Goon corner, you know. We need restraint. If y'all give this video 5k likes. Anyway, so moral of the story, verdict, like here's where I'm supposed to kind of like rank the legends, but ranking the legends feel fake. Not because they're balanced, but because they are 3 failed attempts to solve the same question. The question is, Chakram plus X equals like an all-purpose Chakram legend that you could like rely on all the time. X is what the legend offers. Vera's X was broken signatures, but it still fails because she only has 4 speeds, which means you can't reach them. Ransom X was lethal speed on bow, but it failed indirectly because they can counter that with just high strength because you have low defense. And then Priya's X was nothing. She's just proof that Chakram can't exist without an X, and that Chakram drowns sometimes. Clearly, this is a design issue. We can let Priya go because she was the first Chakram legend. They were trying something, they didn't really know anything. So we can let Priya go. And we could also let Ransom go in a sense because he was released because Bo didn't get a legend in a long time. Those two were designed with 2 very different things in mind other than just making a decent Chakram legend, right? However, with Vera's just poorly designed. Chakram needs a partner that enforces respect, you know? Something that bullies to cover its like really shy neutral gameplay. A weapon like gauntlets, a weapon like boots, a weapon like aura. Instead, it got forced with partners that need just as much help, you know? A scythe legend with no speed, a bow legend with no defining tool, and a sword legend with a second sword. This is why the weapon feels so stagnant. There's no default Chakram legend, there's no safe answer. Who should I play to learn this, you know? No Chakram equivalent of just play this to learn the weapon. Every pick is a damn gamble. In 2019, a legendary meta-analysis broke down every weapon's priority, right? And Canon at the time was dead last. And they described it as having extremely bad startup and hitboxes. It took years of changes to get Canon to climb out of that hole. And if Chakram is in its Canon on release era, then the scary part isn't where it is now. The scary part is how long it's gonna stay there. But for me, looking at Chakram's frame data and hitboxes, it's just history repeating itself, isn't it? And yeah, that's the wrap on Brawlhalla 2025. 1 throwing blade and 3 very different legends, and a whole lot of design lessons to learn. But this is where you come in. Which of these legends tilted you the most? Did I cook with this ranking, or did I completely miss the mark? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive and you want to see more content like it, whether it's for Brawlhalla or anything else, smash that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. It generally helps the channel grow. This is the plan, to make these like year-end review a tradition. So here's the 2026 in Brawlhalla. May the new legends be a little less contradictory, a little less bad. But yeah, brethren, if you enjoyed this, make sure you slap that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and that bell so you know when I post more. Bro, I love y'all, man, and I will see y'all in the next. Peace, y'all. 2025 wasn't looking too hot, but 2026 is gonna be the year. Trust me, bro, because I'm already over the BS.